Good morning and welcome to my studio. Today I'm going to talk about what I think is the single most important attribute that's necessary if you want to achieve a very successful career as an artist. And it might not be what you think. So if you want to hear my thoughts on that, stick around for the rest of today's episode. People are always asking me what I think is the most important quality to possess in order to achieve greatness in art and to achieve a really successful art career. And I've thought a lot about this, and you might be surprised to hear what I think is the most important thing. Now, there are a number of things that are important if you want to have a successful career as an artist. I mean, you have to have the passion to create. You have to have an incredible work ethic. You have to, over time, develop skills, develop the theoretical knowledge, and immerse yourself in the creative process to try and find your own unique voice. But I think the single most important quality is patience. Patience, above all else, is what is going to get you to the finish line. I know many of you know Malcolm Gladwell, and he talks about how it takes 10,000 hours of dedicated practice in any sort of endeavor to achieve mastery of it. And I believe that's true. But 10,000 hours is a long time. And so regardless of how much passion you have or how much natural talent or what your work ethic is, if you don't have the patience, you'll never reach that 10,000 hours of dedicated practice to actually achieve mastery. And that's what's required before you can actually go on to have a successful career. You have to master whatever it is that you're pursuing. And that doesn't just go for art. That goes for music, it goes for business, if you want to be an author, any sort of creative endeavor, but also any sort of job skill. And if you don't have the patience, you will quit. And I hear that all the time from artists, that kind of lack of patience. I've spoken to artists at art festivals, and they've been painting for like a year or 2 years, and they comment that, wow, if I don't start selling a lot soon, I'm going to pack this in. And you know what I say to that? It's like 2 years, holy smokes. I dedicated kind of 5 years, 6 years of my life in school studying art, and then painted as a hobby very seriously for 15 years before I even started really seriously trying to sell my art. And even then, it was a slow go. So patience is just so important. I remember an interview that I saw on TV with A.J. Casson. And for those of you who don't know, he was a member of the Group of Seven, which is an iconic Canadian group of painters, probably the most famous group of painters in Canada's history. And he said something that really stuck with me. And this was back when I was thinking about kind of pursuing art more seriously. And he said that he thought the big secret was just outlasting your competition. Just having the knowledge that most of the people who are competing with you are going to quit. Because it doesn't happen overnight. It is really slow progression, but it's like the tortoise and the hare. If you just keep at it, you will eventually improve. And I know it sounds like a long time. When I was 19 years old and coming out of college, eager to pursue my art career, if you had told me that I would be at this stage in my life now where, I make over $250,000 a year on the sale of my artwork, I would have just been so happy and would have been willing to do anything to achieve that. But two things kind of, made me decide not to pursue art and to go towards the police force. One was I never thought it was possible. My dream was maybe to be an illustrator or something like that. But the thought that, I could make a very, very good living just coming into my studio and painting what I wanted, that thought had never entered my mind, and nobody ever even suggested it was a possibility. And the other thing was, I was impatient. I wanted things to happen quickly. I was out of art school for 2 years. I'd been laid off 3 jobs, so the economy was bad, but I still hadn't got my dream job. I was doing low-level pay stub, so I thought, screw this, I don't want to do this, and I ended up joining the police force. Now, in a way, joining the police force was one of the best things that ever happened to me, because then I got back to painting just for the pure enjoyment of it, and not necessarily having anything I wanted to happen as a result of that. I just painted because I enjoyed doing it. And then when I really started to get serious about my work, which was in the mid-90s, the thought then still, it was not that I would leave the police force and paint full time. It was that I wanted to be in a position when I retired from the police force that I had already kind of achieved a certain amount of skill and knowledge and level of work that I could then, upon retirement, kind of move into a career as an artist. But that was a long game, and I thought that would have seen me retiring about now. So my plan was like, I've got 17 years to just continually keep plugging away here, seriously working towards improving. I wasn't working towards kind of making any money off my art, although I did start having open houses, but that was just kind of a side thing. The main focus I had at that time was just improving my art. And then I got elected to the Canadian Watercolor Society, the Canadian Institute of Portrait Artists. I was getting into juried shows, but all of that was really predicated on the long game, thinking that about now would be the time when I would retire from the police force. And the funny thing happened, once I got patient and I was focusing just on the process of making sure I painted, 3 to 4 times a week for 2 to 3 hours, and focusing on just improving those skills that I knew were somewhat deficient, that's when everything started happening good for me. And it all kind of happened almost as an accident. And even when my wife Diane approached me and suggested that we might think about me leaving the police force to paint full time, that was not on my radar at all. But that whole idea of being patient and just working towards getting a little better, just if all you can do is every week do things that are going to bring you just a little bit closer to your dream, then at the end of that week, your dream's not going to happen. And likely at the end of that year, your dream's not going to happen. But in 5, 10, 15, 20 years, there's a very good chance your dream will happen. And take it from me, when your dreams come true, life is pretty sweet. I am doing exactly what I want to do every day. I was thinking about this morning on my walk, how to kind of put into words what it feels like when you're doing for a living what you love. And if you could have given me the option of, when I came out of the police force, of winning $10 million and being set for life, or taking the hard route of pursuing my art career to get where I am now, it wouldn't even be close. I would choose this. That's how much I love what I'm doing. But I only got here because I was patient, and it was just one day at a time. They say even the longest journey begins with one step, and that's true, but it's a long journey, and you have to keep putting one foot in front of the other. If you quit your journey after 50 or 100 steps, you're not going to get very far. And it's funny, I was thinking about this, and the same sort of thing applies to social media, in particular to this YouTube channel. I've been doing the YouTube channel now for about 2 years, 2.5 years. Really got serious about the whole social media thing just over 1.5 years ago. At that point, I had, I think, 30 YouTube followers. We did really well on Facebook and Instagram, but again, long process. And I decided, almost 60 episodes ago, that I was going to do a daily art vlog because I wanted to really raise the profile of the YouTube channel. Well, I'm still only getting about 70 or 80 views per video right now. And that's really not very much. And we're approaching 1,000 subscribers, which is great considering I only had 30 1.5 years ago. but it's still not very big in the grand scheme of things in terms of YouTubers. But I'm not worried about that. And I really just checked today to see what the average views are, just because I wanted to mention it in this post, because I'm not concerned at all about today, tomorrow, next week, next month even, with the YouTube channel. I know that for some of you out there that watch it every day, that you find incredible value from it and that you enjoy it. And I have confidence that other people will too. It's just a matter of them being exposed to it. So I'm concerned about where my YouTube channel is going to be in 5 years or 8 years. And I actually believe that, again, we're going to hit the 1,000 milestone probably this month. And that at some point it'll be 100,000. And at some point, I think it's very likely we might even reach 1 million. But I know it's not going to happen tomorrow. It's not going to happen next month. And it's not even going to happen next year, likely. But I do know that by just keeping on doing the thing you're supposed to be doing, which for me is putting out the content and putting out good content and trying to give value to the viewer, that we will gradually just keep increasing the audience till we get to where I have the kind of impact that I'd like to have. But that same sort of patience that I'm applying to that, you need to apply to your career as an artist if you're really serious about it. And you don't need to quit your job and work and paint full time either. You can do what I did for a number of years, is just make that time in your day when you're not working. Instead of watching TV or instead of binge watching House of Cards, you dedicate that time to your artwork. And over time, you get better and better and better. And before you know it, all of a sudden your dreams are in reach. So again, the most important quality, I think, to achieve a very successful career as an artist, and probably to achieve greatness in anything, is patience. And then once you've got the patience, then obviously you need passion, you need an incredible work ethic, and you need to do dedicated practice to improve. But all of that stuff is not going to take you very far if you quit after a year, after 2 years, after 10 years. Because think about it this way, the next 10, 25, 30, 50 years, they're going to go by in your life regardless of what you do. And you can either be sitting where I am now in my mid-50s thinking, oh my God, all of my dreams have come true. Or you could be sitting there thinking, what if? What if I had only spent that time pursuing what I really wanted to do instead of frittering all that time away on things that didn't really matter? So I hope you found this helpful. If you have, give me a thumbs up. If you haven't already, please subscribe. I'm Tim Packer. I welcome your comments and questions. And as always, I thank you for your time.